Hello, my name is Daniel Diaz, and this is my feature video for FFQR-21, where we wanted to implement the ability to highlight errors for incomplete question blocks so that we're not sending bad data to the calculations endpoint. Let's take a look at the web app. So now in the previous story, since we implemented the ability to nullify blocks that we don't want to submit, we can now highlight error checking on things that the participant leaves active. So in this case, if I do frequency but not frequency type, and I click submit, I get an error message that all fields are required, please check. And then we have an error message under the frequency, count and type is required. If I adjust this, we'll lose the error message. But the same thing works for any of them. If I leave everything blank here, now that it's open, submit, and he will get that frequency count and type is required. We will modify this. Servings is required. And what kind of type, right? Fresh, baby food, or jar / canned banana, apples. Let's say baby food, and we lose that error. But now if we do this, submit. And here we don't get errors for sugar added because that's not a required field. So we can just 6 ounces of this kind of milk 1 time a week. And now if we submit, everything looks good. We'll get that we submitted the questionnaire successfully. The questionnaire has been sent to the issuer, and the user is brought back to the home page. So I'm actually also able to capture these inputs now, so pretty much ready for integration with the backend service. On all fronts, we want to integrate the validation of the questionnaire ID. And we're going to integrate that we pull these from the database themselves, these food items. But if I do fill this out, 5 per day, 2 per day, small 1 ounce servings fresh, and milk 5 times per week, 10 ounces. Let's add 4 teaspoons of sugar. And submit. It was submitted successfully, but I'm also capturing all the items. Now what I'm really going to be interested in for calculation is this input that I've added, which captures that from the screen, right? So, for breast milk, frequency was 5 per day. That has a default serving, a default type, because there wasn't a selection. And then there's no sugar input, because there was no. For apple, it's a little bit more interesting, because we have, frequency, day, serving is 1 ounce, and type is fresh. So we're already able to capture those, and it won't include anything that we X'd out. So for simplicity, let's X out these two. And I clear the console. Let's clear the console. 5 times a day. Submit. And here we're only getting breast milk. So that's what we want, and now we're ready to send that over to the calculation endpoint. Briefly to go over the code changes, I added a get error state that returns an array of strings of where the error lies in frequency, serving, or type, and attached it to the food item itself, because that's who knows where if it has an error. And since we pass a food item to a question block component, it checks on changes. It'll toggle that this new is submitted flag to false, and if it's true, which that is set in the actual page component. So in the page, when we submit the questionnaire, it's going to loop through all the food items and set that is submitted to true, then get the error state for each of them, and If we do have errors, then we do the error handling here. This is going to change, but for now it's enough to show the dialog boxes in both cases. And as far as the error messages, we just have my error components conditionally displayed if the item is submitted and if upon getting the error state where we find a specific error we're looking for. And that's it for this story. Thank you very much.